504 days on the lot. That is how long this Jeep Wagoneer has been sitting, according to this website, for a dealer in Phoenix, Arizona. This is insane. These dealerships cannot sell these things. These Wagoneers and Grand Wagoneers that no one asked for, just sitting in these dealerships collecting dust, and no one is buying them. And of course, Jeep decided to have an all-electric version because if you can't sell your overpriced gas model, just make an even more overpriced electric one. And then look at these Grand Wagoneers that are over $100,000 in MSRP. Of course, no one is buying them, even with a $27,000 discount like the one this dealership is giving. This is why Stalantis will eventually go bankrupt. And if you look into the inventory of this dealer, it's at 915 vehicles, up from 785 from February since I started tracking them. It's insane the amount of inventory that is piling up across the country. Dealerships are bleeding money left and right, all because of these overpriced cars and the fact that your average consumer cannot afford them. And it isn't just Stellantis that's having this issue. I looked up this Ford dealer and it's the same stuff, just different flavor. This dealership in Denver has 392 prior year units as of the time I'm recording this. You heard that right, 392 units from 2024. That's over a quarter of their inventory, all still sitting on their lots. This other dealership in Phoenix has 121 out of 412 cars on their lot as previous year units. That's nearly a third of all their inventory. And of course, a lot of these cars are not moving because they are way overpriced. Like this 2023 Ford Lariat that they initially listed at $100,000, but now they have reduced it by 30% to just under $70,000. It's still not selling. $100,000 was insane, but $70,000 makes no sense either. $70,000 for a truck. Are you kidding me? The payments are going to be like $1,500 a month for a 5-year loan term. Who can afford that? But the reality of the situation is even a lot of the quote-unquote cheaper units are also not selling. The truth is consumers can't afford these prices. They barely can even get approved for a lot of these vehicles, let alone actually afford them. In fact, this article from Edmunds talks about just how ridiculous these automakers are in terms of their expectations from consumers. The article is titled, "A Record 1 in 5 New Car Shoppers Committed to a $1,000 or More Monthly Payment in the Second Quarter of 2025, according to Edmunds." This is just insanity at this point. Why do people keep signing up for these loans? And they also talk about how 84-month loans are becoming more common. 84 freaking months. You have to be out of your mind to think that an 84-month auto loan makes sense. But yet, this is what a lot of these automakers are trying to normalize. They are trying to gaslight consumers into thinking this is all just the new norm. Insane $1,000 monthly payments, along with 84-month loans and sky-high insurance rates. None of these things are normal. Just look into the numbers for auto loan default rates, delinquency rates, and the repossession crisis. All these indicate the fact that consumers can't pay these prices. And the crux of the issue is that the automakers are not being honest with themselves about the state of the people's finances. The economy is not allowing consumers to keep up with the cost of cars. That's just the reality of the situation. These automakers a few months back were threatening to increase prices and get rid of discounts because of the tariffs. But here is my question to them. Where are the consumers going to get the extra money for these cars? Tariffs and trade wars are not putting money in the average car buyer's pocket. So where is the extra money coming from? And here's the thing. I think they believe that banks are just going to give longer loans to all these people trying to buy these overpriced cars. For some desperate banks, that might become the case. But most banks know this arrangement doesn't work for either them or the consumer. I mean, the repo numbers are out of control, and some banks are having a hard time finding tow truck drivers to repossess these cars. So banks are not going to be in the business of saving these automakers. Because the fact of the matter is, a lot of the sales of cars over the past 2 years have been to people who simply cannot afford them. And while they padded up the stats for these car dealers in the short term, they're just causing more problems down the line. And I think what's going on is the pricing strategy of the auto industry is just out of tune with the economy. I think a lot of these auto dealers look into the shortages and prices of used cars and use that to justify their current prices. But in doing so, they are ignoring the financial state of the average consumer. Your average consumer is struggling with the cost of living. I'm talking about basic things like rent and the cost of groceries. So just because there's a shortage in used cars, it doesn't mean they can afford these $700 or $800 or even $1,000 monthly payments. And that's before you take into account insurance, which has been going up too thanks to inflation. But these automakers do not want to admit any of this. And it is the automakers, not the dealers. Yes, the dealers are greedy, but they want to sell cars and not just let them sit for 300, 400, 500 days on their lots. But the automakers don't have to deal with that risk because they sell to dealers, not the consumers. But eventually, a lot of these dealers can't take in any more units, and the auto manufacturers will have to step in and give discounts and rebates, and then of course, they repeat the cycle the next year. Anyways, links to the article are in the description below. Let me know what you guys think of all of this, and make sure to click like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks for listening, and see you guys next time.